Within about 30 minutes of the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner at the Washington, D.C. Hilton Hotel, Donald Trump held a press conference. And what did he use this moment for? Not to address the victims, not to call for calm, not to thank law enforcement in any meaningful way. No, he used it to push his Golden Ballroom project at the White House. That's right. A shooting had just taken place at one of Washington's most high-profile annual events. The dinner had been canceled. Journalists, cabinet members, and guests were still being evacuated from the building, and the President of the United States was standing at a podium in the White House, arguing that this was exactly the moment that proved why he needs a bigger, bulletproof, drone-proof ballroom. He said the military and Secret Service have been demanding this ballroom for 150 years. And then, without any transition, without any logical connection, he pivoted to Iran. He said this shooting would not deter him from winning the war in Iran. Nobody asked about Iran. A shooting had just happened at an event he was scheduled to attend, and somehow that led to a statement about a foreign military conflict. No one in the room seemed to know how to respond to that. Honestly, neither do I. Then Kash Patel, the FBI director, stepped forward and looked Trump directly in the eyes. That was the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, standing at a podium, telling the President of the United States that American law enforcement is brave and effective solely because of him. 24/7, 365, his words. The Secret Service acted quickly because Trump inspires them, not because of their training, not because of their professionalism, because of Donald Trump personally. This is the kind of thing you'd expect to hear at a campaign rally, not at a press conference held 30 minutes after a shooting at a national event. Then a reporter, and the host of the original broadcast described this as state regime media, asked Trump why he thinks this keeps happening to him. Why do people keep targeting him? Trump compared himself to Abraham Lincoln. He said the most impactful people in history, the ones who make the biggest difference, are the ones who get targeted. He said the people who don't do much, nobody bothers with them, because they like it that way. So according to Trump, the reason people keep trying to shoot near him is simply because he matters too much. He's too important. He's too impactful. That was a real answer he gave, in public, at a press conference 30 minutes after a shooting. Trump then said he personally fought hard to stay at the Correspondents' Dinner. He said he wanted to be there. He said he fought like hell to stay. But Secret Service told him he had to leave because there was too much going on, and they weren't sure if it was a lone shooter or something larger. He also posted security footage on his personal social media platform showing what he claimed was the shooter running through the hotel corridor past Secret Service agents. Reporting from multiple outlets indicates that the suspect assembled his weapon in a nearby service area, close to where bartenders were working, and then sprinted through the hallway. He never made it into the ballroom where the actual dinner guests and cabinet officials were seated. He was stopped on a staircase one floor above the ballroom entrance. The Secret Service subdued him before he could reach the event. When asked about the profile of the shooter, what kind of person does something like this, Trump gave this answer, with Pete Hegseth standing right beside him. A whack job with a brain. That was the president's characterization. He added that some of these people operate at genius-level IQ and are still mentally distorted. He said no amount of security can fully stop someone like that. And then he said, and this is a direct quote, he was like a blur on tape. He was moving fast, and the Secret Service response was very impressive. A reporter then followed up and asked whether Trump had any concerns about the Secret Service's ability to protect him. The reporter noted that several members of the detail were seen taking a few minutes to be escorted out of the room after the incident. Trump said he was not concerned at all. He said he was impressed by the Secret Service and made very clear that he would be the first person standing at that podium complaining if he thought they hadn't done their job. And then he circled back to his central theme of the evening. He said he wants to live because he wants to make this country great. Back inside the ballroom, the event host made the announcement to a room full of journalists that the dinner had been canceled. Maybe she saw this clip. She told the crowd that the president would be holding a press briefing at the White House in 30 minutes. She paused, looked around the room, and said, and I want to be precise here, that is not a joke. A room full of reporters, many of whom had just heard gunshots outside the ballroom doors, were now being told the president was already back at the White House preparing to hold a press conference. The event would be rescheduled within 30 days, she said. There is also footage of Trump being escorted off the stage when the Secret Service first moved him. She saw this clip. And then there's this clip, and this one is genuinely strange. A press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, recorded just before the Correspondents' Dinner had even started. She was previewing what Trump's speech would be like that evening. She saw this clip. She said there would be shots fired tonight in the room. She said it casually. She meant it as a figure of speech. Trump was going to deliver sharp jokes, take aim at his critics. But given what happened just hours later, that clip has taken on a very different tone in hindsight. It is an odd thing to look back on. Wolf Blitzer, the veteran CNN anchor who was near the scene when the shots rang out, spoke from the lobby of the Washington Hilton shortly after being evacuated. He said that in roughly 30 years of attending White House Correspondents' Dinners, he had never, not once, seen security as tight and as intense as what he witnessed at this hotel tonight. She saw this clip. According to his first-hand account, the shooter fired from a position one floor above the staircase that leads to the ballroom. The gunshots were clearly audible from inside the venue. When DC police spotted Blitzer standing only a few feet from where the shooter had been, they physically threw him to the ground to protect him, then moved him to a secure location, a nearby men's restroom, where he waited until the area was cleared. Here's clearer audio capturing the gunshots as they were heard inside the ballroom area. They saw this clip. And here is footage from the immediate aftermath inside the hotel as guests and staff reacted to what was happening. They saw this clip. This is what the scene looked like outside the hotel in the minutes following the shooting. They saw this clip. DC U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro posted a selfie video from inside the hotel almost immediately after being evacuated from the ballroom. They saw this clip. A New York Times reporter who was traveling with the White House press pool described the scene in real time. He wrote that tuxedoed Secret Service agents pulled out their weapons and sprinted toward the ballroom. White-jacketed catering staff screamed and ran for the stairwells. Pandemonium broke out across the floor. Top cabinet officials were evacuated almost simultaneously. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his wife Cheryl Hines came out of the ballroom and were ushered into an elevator. Then Jeanine Pirro emerged. Then FBI Director Kash Patel came running across the hallway with two men behind him. Reporters were initially told the event would continue, and then it didn't. That is the full picture of what happened tonight at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. A shooting, an evacuation, a press conference about a golden ballroom, comparisons to Abraham Lincoln, and a selfie video from a federal prosecutor. You've seen the clips. You tell me what you think.